Good evening and welcome from Retro Communism Looney Land, formerly the United Kingdom. And welcome. There's something going on outside. It's 8 o'clock. And can you excuse me just one moment? I think one of my neighbours has just gone a bit loopy. They're standing outside their door, bashing a saucepan lid. Perhaps this lockdown's gone a bit too far. Weird. Oh, well. Oh, I know. Yes, it's 8 o'clock. They're telling people to give nurses the clap. Oh, well, that's what they're doing. Well, I live in a semi-rural area, so I don't know who they're trying to actually who they're trying to impress, but that's life, isn't it? Anyway, on with the show. And what we got here? Hello, good evening. Some spread lies, others know the truth. Who is who? Only listening. Oh, okay. Anyway, little update on these lovely people. I'll just show their banner. Let's hope it doesn't get stuck this time. I'm just trying to find it. Where is it? Here it is. These people. RV-licious. Okay. I'll quickly turn it off and hope it doesn't get stuck. Yes, it's gone off this time. They're still, as far as I know, stuck in Spain. And, oh dear, my phone's gone again, so we've got to actually unplug it. I don't know what it is. This happens every night. There we go. It's our phantom phoner. Anyway, forgot to unplug it before the show, so sorry about that, folks. There's always something I forget. Anyway, about these lovely people, I'll just pop it up again. Where are we? RV-licious. As far as I know, they're still stuck in Spain because they were in Spain just before this lockdown happened and their engine blew up. Well, in fact, I think it's a gasket that's gone. And they're stuck alongside a Peugeot garage. Now, there's very little I can do and we can do, but I thought of something positive we could do. And that is, I'm very keen on the power of thought. And when my late father was ill, he got some what's it called? I don't know what they call it, where someone heals from a distance. I thought a healer. I'd want a distance healer or something like that. And I have to admit, it started to work. It really did. He started to improve a little bit. So I'm very, very much into the power of thought. So let's think of positive thoughts and those lovely people's direction. So I woke up this morning thinking of their van on the back of a pickup truck going to their home in the Netherlands. Another thought I had, a positive thought, is their head gasket being repaired. So let's think along those lines. Nice positive thoughts. And of course, they might be finding it a little bit difficult financially, so if you've got a few bob, pop it in their PayPal account. I'm sure they'll appreciate it, or the Patreon account. And as I say, good luck, Patrick and Petra. Really lovely couple. So come on, let's give them some real positive thoughts. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world, positive thoughts towards Spain, those lovely people. Right, now next thing, so I've got my bullet points here this time, so I'm in an hurry. It's about the similarity between the AIDS outbreak in the 1980s and now. Now you think about it, in the 1980s, we had cockdown. Let's see, it wasn't supposed to have sex. We had cockdown, and now we've got lockdown. And, and then in the 1980s, we had sexual distancing, and now we got actual antisocial distancing. So it's a lot of similarities, really, when you come to think of it. And they were both kind of a fear put into people. And it's, to me, this fake-demic or pandemic is the fastest growing religion I think the world has ever seen, really, because I'm not religious, but I don't take the mickey out of people's beliefs and faiths. I mean, but my attitude is that I don't worship an invisible weirdy beardy man in the sky, but I like to believe I'm a very spiritual person, and my place of worship, or if you want to call it worship, is forest, trees, and beautiful scenery, and being out in the countryside. That's nice. You can be as one, and I do believe in karma. If you spread kindness and happiness, it will hopefully come back. So there it is. So the other thing is this situation with Boris Johnson. Now, there's a lot on the internet about, is he really sick? Isn't he? I don't know. Now, admittedly, I'm going to put 2 and 2 together and probably make 100. But I just had this thought. Now, looking back in history, Chamberlain at the beginning of World War II, in my hand I have a piece of paper. Or the best version was the Monty Python's chap, what's his name, the Silly Walk man. He took off Chamberlain. John Cleese, that's it. He was absolutely brilliant. He looked just like Chamberlain. And as he held up this piece of paper, the wind blew it out of his hand. He said, in my hand, I have a piece of shit. Well, anyway, there is a lot, or a fair amount of evidence that he didn't die of natural causes. He was done in so as to pave the way for Churchill. And there's a fair amount of evidence around for that. Now, somebody pointed out to me that Boris Johnson, a week or two before this pandemic, looked, how could I put this politely, shit scared. He was sort of... Could it be that he twigged it, and maybe the New World Order is sort of, shall we say, being showing him that he's shouldn't be a naughty boy and he should toe the line? I don't know, but it does seem a little bit strange, doesn't it? Why did he look 2 weeks before this pandemic as if he's shitting himself, and now he's in intensive care? Again, I'm putting 2 and 2 together and maybe making 1,000. Who knows? Anyway, let's go and have a look at the comment section, shall we? What we got here? Oh, hello. Some spread lies. Others know the truth. Who's who? Here we come. Only we can heal ourselves, not our governments. Yes, you're right. You're very correct on that. I do believe in I'm very much into the power of thought and the power of kindness. You notice some people have a kind of electric atmosphere about them, a positiveness, and other people, well, quite honestly, they're like a wet weekend in Brighton, or Anyway, and we got another one. What we got here? Corona is more powerful than God. Laugh out later. Wake up, people. When you look, you've only got to look at the figures, the statistics. More people, I think it's a phenomenal amount more people committed suicide than died from this virus. Less people actually this year have died of the flu virus than any other year in the last 4 years. Excuse me one moment, please. But one thing I'd like to mention is a call out for fellow hay fever sufferers. Now, I suffer from hay fever. I have done for years, and sometimes I get it worse than others. And this year seems to be particularly bad. Well, I went to get my usual shop, do my usual shopping, and pulled up outside the supermarket, and there was, communism in action. This huge queue of people all standing 1 meter away from each other. So after going to another supermarket and finding exactly the same there, I thought, oh, well, better join the end of the queue. And it took me about half an hour or so to get into the supermarket, because what they were doing, they were letting in about 20 people at a time, then stopping for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then another 20 people in. So anyway, I had particularly bad hay fever last night. And luckily it wasn't a sneezing fit, because normally I'm going, have flu. Well, it wasn't. I was all sort of bugged up. It was like, you know, a bit sniffly. And there's a woman standing behind me. It's hysterical. They got these markers on the ground of 1 meter. She was standing 3 of these markers back because I'm going. It's all right, now I've got hay fever. It's not contagious. Yeah, I'm a bit nasally, a bit sort of, put it bluntly, snotty. But yeah, I picked up. I don't like paper handkerchiefs, but I picked up a box of paper handkerchiefs for my neighbours. I prefer a normal handkerchief. I'm a bit old-fashioned like that. I said to the bloke stacking the shelves, I said, "Oh, blimey, I'm going to write these people a snotty letter." But he didn't see the joke. But that's life, isn't it? Anyway, we've got a little question that a neighbour asked me to put over on the show. So here's a question. Now, he, like me, is anti-EU, Brexit, and sort of pro-Brexit leaving. I don't like using the word Brexit, but once can't stand the European Union. And he's noticed something. Now, I don't watch television. I can't stomach it. I haven't got a sick bag big enough. But he said, have you noticed since Brexit a change in the type of advertising? And he said, mainly the people. They're not, I've got to be very careful what I say here because I'm not against anybody. I think everybody's very nice people. But shall we say, not indigenous, less indigenous people on the adverts. I think I've been as polite as possible. Has anybody else noticed that? Well, I haven't because I don't watch the telly, but I just wonder if anybody else has noticed that. And that's the question he's put out. So call out. If anybody notices it, shove it in the comment section. There's nothing racial or anything like that. Everybody's nice. Well, except the horrible ones. But as I've said before, folk are generally very nice. It's the psychopaths in the world that are the problem. So, yeah, that's quite interesting because he reckons that there's been a very, very distinct change since Brexit. So, anybody else, you know? Anyway, we've got another question in here. What have we got here? Oh, how sad that is, people. Come on. Oh, yeah, what, the lady standing 3 meters away from me. Mind you, it's quite good to keep people away, isn't it? Hay fever. But, you know, that is hay fever discrimination. Perhaps I should, I mean, I don't like T-shirts with things written on them. But perhaps I should have a T-shirt saying, I've got a snotty nose because I've got hay fever. It's not contagious. But, you know, those of us that suffer from hay fever, we're getting a pretty tough time because people go, oh, should stay at home, should self-isolate. No, it's bloody hay fever. You know, it came on when this weather got a bit warmer. But anyway, what I was going to say is it's about the establishment. And going on from what I was saying about that lady that got arrested for sitting on a seat, I was watching Vinnie Eastwood the other night. He's the New Zealand radio host, and he's brilliant. And it's worth tuning into his station, Vinnie Eastwood. And he, like me, suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder. And he's also a very nervous person, I believe, you know, and he gets stressed out pretty easily. And he had his telephone going. I say telephone going, his smartphone camera recording. He was pulled over by the police. Now, his wife is pregnant and she's due to give birth at any moment. And he forgot to put his lights on. You know, the poor sod had obviously got enough to worry about. And this really snotty New Zealand policewoman pulled him over. And she really was snotty. And it's going on from what I was saying about hay fever. And she said, oh, what are you? I can't do a New Zealand accent, but, you know, I could do an Australian one. So, you ain't got your lights on, you know. No, sorry, it's Australian. But anyway, she haven't got your lights on. And he said, okay. You know, he said, well, you know, my wife's heavily pregnant. She's due to give birth soon. And this snotty policewoman said, we're worried about you caring for your wife or something, and making it look as if Vinny Eastwood wasn't caring for his wife, and he'd actually gone out to get essential provisions for her. And it's worth watching. It really is. It's only on for about 10 minutes, but I thought, how rude can you get? I mean, this police woman, she's making it look as if he's sort of got no time for his wife, and they're a very loving couple as far as I know. You know, cheeky cow. Anyway, we got a few more in chat. Let's have a look here. Yeah. Well, it just builds up a little bit later, actually. I've found that people always tune in when it's too late. So that's life, isn't it, really? Now, I've noticed something about the establishment, that they've got heads like those nodding donkeys that pump up the oil in Texas. You know those sort of nodding donkeys that go like this? Well, oh, it's Katie. Hang on a minute. Hello, Katie. We do not live under Napoleonic law. If it not forbidden by law, we are allowed. Yes, well, there's common law and statutes law. And common law is injury, loss or harm, which I agree with. You mustn't commit injury or loss to anybody or harm to anybody. But the rest is a statute, which is actually, putting it bluntly, oh, excuse me a minute, let's have a glug of water. Is basically agreement. It's you know, it's a kind of, shall we say, a business agreement in many ways. That's why you get a receipt when you go and shop anything, and that's why when a police officer says, "Do you understand?" he's really saying, "Do you stand under?" And never say yes, always say no. Do you understand? No, must never say yes. And Vinny Eastwood, I'm not too sure about this. He says, "I don't answer questions because it's best not to antagonate." Because remember, you're talking to the monkey, not the organ grinder. So when you're talking to the monkey, my attitude is be polite, be nice, and get them out of your face as quickly as possible. Politely and peacefully, just get them away. You don't want to mess with them. To me, they are exactly the same as highwaymen harassing innocent folk. If you've forgotten to put your lights on or something, it's not done deliberately, you forgot, you know, and things like that. Luckily, that policewoman, I don't think she fined him anything, so, you know, and she shouldn't do, because let's face it, we all forget things. We're human, you know. That's what I mean. If you did it intentionally, that'd be a bit different, you know. But anyway, on with the story. So talking about these nodding donkeys, you see. Now, one woman I particularly detest is Nicola Sturgeon. I just detest her. She's obnoxious. And can you imagine? Yeah, imagine being married to her and waking up next to that every morning. Oh, God. And I noticed, excuse me a moment, I noticed that she was pictured the other day in a hospital standing with people with uniforms. Now, I can't remember when they had hats on, because I've got this thing about uniforms and hats. Now, I don't like, if I reincarnated as a dog, I'd probably be a Rottweiler and bite people in uniforms. Although some people in uniforms are all right. Like, for instance, I found that postmen, firemen, ambulance drivers, paramedics, they're all right. They're okay. But really put a hat on someone's head who's got a uniform, wow, things seem to go overboard. Policemen wear hats. Ego trip. And I'm not sure whether the medical staff surrounding Nicola Sturgeon had hats on or not. Can't remember. But anyway, there she was standing around this computer. And I've noticed that a lot of the establishment do this. They clasp their hands, put their head sideways and go like this, like a nodding donkey. That's what. Oh, yes. And it's all, excuse my language, bullshit. Because what they're saying, but they could have been playing, I don't know, a computer game on there. It's also, yes. Because what you really noticed with governments and people like that. Now, I've not worked for the civil service, but I've worked alongside the civil service, and how anything is ever done is beyond me, because the golden rule of the civil service is to be seen to be doing, but not exactly doing anything. hang on, we've got a lot in chat now. Here we go. What we got? What's this? Now I've got Katie here. Here we go. The COVID bill does not say do not go to the beach, for instance. That's right. That's right. And as I've said before, I mean, I'm not a virologist, but ultraviolet rays, if you look this up on the internet, kills germs. So, and also fresh air is good for you. So psychologically and physically, I mean, when I go for a ride on my push bike, I feel 100% better. I'll get very depressed if I don't get a bit of exercise. And that's right, live exercise. That's it. And never give a name if they take your fingerprint. That's right. That's what they say when you deal with the police. But I quite like that one. I don't answer questions. Be polite about it. But as I say, my attitude is get them out your face as pretty as you can. You know, I've only been stopped about twice, and both times in my car. Once was for a spot check. And I said, excuse me, why am I being pulled over? It's a spot check. I felt like saying, well, I've got a pimple here, I've got a zit there, and there's a spot here. I didn't. And what happened, which was years ago, this couple was trying to wind me up. And he said, right. And they searched in my boot, my car, or trunk, if you're in America. And then they looked inside my car, and it was chucking it down with rain. I got soaking wet, but I was just beginning to get a cold. And this was about years ago. And I thought, right, you sod, you're going to catch my cold. So I went, oh, without a handkerchief, of course. I hope you got my cold. And he said, what have you got in your boot? That's trunk in America. And I said, oh, I've got tools. We're looking for stolen tools. And all the time. And then I got a homemade crook lock. What's this used for? I said, it's a crook lock. Do you use it for other things? I said, well, what else could you use it for? And eventually he went, you can go. Charming. How nice. And another time was in London when I was in my car driving through London. And there's a chap with a very strong Scotch accent. And I didn't understand what he was talking about. And he said, seriously, and what you want to know, he said, without looking at my speedo, how many miles has my car done? How long have you had the car? So I said, well, I'm sorry, it's not for sale. And I decided to look up on that line. I mean, I was a teenager at the time, so it's quite a few years ago. And I was in my late teens. And he said, so I think that meant you can go. And I went. So that's about the only 2 times I've been stopped. Right. KT. Most Scots don't. No, that's Nicola Sturgeon. I don't know any Scottish people that do like her. I mean, there's something about her. My godfather. She better be getting trapped in a lift with her. God. Or he married her. Now, what we've got here? On proof of claim, you will pay. Yes. Yes. Well, as I say, it's actually, give me a moment. Of course, quite dry tonight because although it's spring, it feels like summer has arrived. But no, actually, as I say, statute law is really a transaction. That's all it is, an agreement. Right. The Scottish Health Minister doesn't seem to be worried about any so-called infectious virus. That's right, yeah. Well, it was suggested on UK Column, I don't watch it much, but by someone on there, that perhaps she realises that it's a hoax. Who should know more? Health Minister. So, you know, what we've got here. There is only, that's right, it's only the flu. It's a different type of flu. And we've got some spread lies, others know the truth, who is who. Sunshine and fresh air is your friend, not the government's. That's a good one. That really is a good one. Yes. I mean, as long as, let's put it this way, this is a religion. So you've got to do the rituals. So I stand a metre away from people, which I don't mind, especially when you're standing near the grate unwashed, or if people have been eating a lot of beans or something. I don't really want to smell their flatulence or BO or whatever. So I don't mind them standing a metre away from me. Fine, you know, it doesn't really bother me much. And as I say, with this hay fever, people stand more than a couple of metres away from me. About 8 metres away from me. It's quite good, actually. They really keep their distance. Going. And oh, we got here, Katie. Isolation is used to facilitate control over an abused person. Yes. Well, solitary confinement. It causes disorientation and a dependence on the abuser. Yes, was it that Stockholm syndrome? Is it Stockholm syndrome? I think it's Stockholm syndrome. Correct me if I'm wrong. Where, I think it's the 70s. I'm really scraping I'm really just about remembering, where somebody was kidnapped and they felt sorry for the person that kidnapped them. Please correct me if I'm wrong if it's not Stockholm syndrome, but I think it is. But yes, it is. It's a huge psyops. There's nothing more than a psyops. And we only use the name we have, no claims to it, clown copyright. Well, that's right. When you're born, a straw man there's two people created. There's the birth certificate and you. And all bills and things like that don't go to you, they go to the birth certificate. And it's the inverted commas court that trick you into believing that you are responsible for the bills, but it's actually the birth certificate. And I remember the late, great John Harris. I really do miss him. He sadly passed away a few years ago. Something happened with his lorry where he parked somewhere he shouldn't. I can't remember the full details, but he actually sent his birth certificate to the court and said, crack on. Because it's a piece of paper. Because it's rather like, I'm sure you already know this, but for example, if I worked for, I don't know, a company called A, and you work for a company called B, and company A and company B had a falling out about a contract, I mean, that's all statute law is, it's a contract, and they went to court, I would go to court representing company A and you would go to court representing company B, but you wouldn't change your name by default. And if company A or B lost the case and had to pay thousands of pounds, you wouldn't pay it out of your own pocket. It would come out of the company funds. Same with the birth certificate. So bear that in mind. And if you look up YouTube, there's a fantastic cartoon called, I think it's called The Straw Man. So look that up. It's worth looking at. Right. But that's the trick. When you're born, two people are created. A living person and a dead one. And the, shall we say, the trading name, which is the birth certificate. Right. Ask, are you claiming we are that person? That's right. UK cars, yeah, it's okay. I've got my reservations about some of it, but we won't go into that because I don't like being rude. I'd never be negative to anything, unless it's the establishment. But yeah, it's quite good. Yes, it's right. We got here. Someone's from Truth who love the sunshine comment. Ah, that's nice, isn't it? Yeah, I like the sunshine. Let's find the sunshine comment. Where is it? Oh dear, I've lost it here. Where is it? It's up here somewhere. Oh, sorry. I'll find it. Anyway, it's a lovely comment, wasn't it? Right. Oh, this is here. Love is pure. Give people a hug. Yes. Yes. Yes, it is. And that's something that psychopaths don't have. That's love. They actually cannot love people. And in a strange way, it's sad. Because all their pleasure is superficial. It's now. It's a bit like a dog. A dog or animals live for the now. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, but the now. And I've, as I said, many times before, I've worked with psychopaths, and I think there's probably one that married into my family. So I've got quite a bit of experience of them. And when you've dealt with them firsthand, you realise they're totally incapable. The only person they love is themselves. And going on with that, oh, by the way, thanks, Katie. Yes, it is Stockholm. Oh, thanks, Katie. Yeah, it's something I haven't researched for a long time, and I've forgotten a lot of it, but it certainly is. And give the elderly a hug. Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Yeah. Love and honour will never be beat. Here we go. And that's nice. That's nice. That is. But no, when you look at these civil servant types. Now, as I said, I've worked alongside the civil service, and it's always a case of being seen to be doing but never doing anything. A good MP is seen to be doing but doesn't really do anything. And to get from point A to point B in anything in life is the quickest way is in a straight line, isn't it? Not when you're dealing with the civil service. You go round in a circle and hope to collide with whatever you want to achieve. They think in a completely different way to the normal people. They react differently. I mean, there was a bloke where I worked, when I worked in Longacre, who worked for the civil service, and all he did was write, and this is long before, well, not that long. I'm talking about mid-90s, just before the internet came in. And all he did was write memos, stroppy memos that meant nothing. But it showed that he was doing something when in fact he wasn't doing anything. Right. Hello, Stephen. Good evening. Nice of you to join me. We're getting quite a lot of people on here now. It takes a bit of time to warm up, doesn't it? But yes, it's a sort of strange situation. Anyway, I was due to have a mystery guest who was going to explain all about what happened in 1969, how this pandemic was planned in 1969. And when you look at the blueprint of it, by Jove, it's very, it's mind-blowing. It's no conspiracy at all. It's actual, it's there it is. Anyway, I've sent a message many weeks ago to, I won't say who, to a person, and I said, would you like to come on the show? Oh, yes, please. Yes. I said, well, when would you like to come on? I'm on Thursdays. Then I heard nothing. Well, so I sent another message. Thought perhaps I didn't get a message. Heard nothing again. Time went on, and then suddenly the person wanted to come on the show. So I thought, oh, that's good. So I said, okay, I'm flexible. What day or time is most suitable for you? Heard nothing. Then sent another message. Heard nothing again. So my attitude is, well, if they let me down like that, they'll probably let me down on the night. So I was hoping to bring you the chapter, line and verse about what happened in 1969, but I'm going to do my own research and find out about it for you. So I think that probably, probably the best way of doing it, really. Hello, who we got here? Now, I've got someone else here. Hi, Chris. Just wondering what happened with Caroline. Oh, she's still around. Yeah, she has so many people to interview now. I mean, her site has really taken off. So I'm down the bottom of her list now, I think. I thought you and her were doing excellent work. Oh, isn't that kind? Thanks, Alan. Anyway, keep up the good work. Oh, thanks. Thank you very much. That's very, very kind of you. Much appreciated. Yeah. We sort of did a weekly show, and she's sort of, I haven't heard from her for quite a long time, but she has some pretty interesting guests on her show, and that's life, isn't it, really? Oh, gee, she was always on time, if you said I'm going at 8 o'clock, she'd be on there at 8 o'clock. So, Now what we've got here, Stephen. I feeling claiming as soon as I arrive here. That's just I feeling claiming as soon as I Well, let's face it, the government has got to do this long enough to break small businesses, so that because it's all to do with business, because that is communism is the natural progression of capitalism, because the idea is to do away with all the small fish and only have the big fish. So all these small little firms where you've got choice, when you think about it, if you go back and you look at things in the 60s and 70s, or I can't say 60s because I'm quite young, but say 70s and 80s, you had much more choice if you bought something. Now you don't. No. It's generally owned by a minority of people. For example, I discovered that if you buy any tools, there's only 6 main manufacturers in the world that make tools. And there's all different names. Yes, you look. And if you look on the side of the box of where the tool was made, it'll be, a such and such a group of this group, that group. And I think this is what you're going to find more. You will have the small family butcher or small family greengrocer, well, they'll be gone because they won't be able to survive. And already we've gone 3 weeks and there's nothing coming in for those people, and they'll get very little money. So I'm saddened to see that. But that is what communism is all about. And this is what I believe this is. This is communism. It's United Nations Agenda 2030. If you don't believe me, think it's a conspiracy, look it up. It's in black and white. It's not a conspiracy. It's fact. United Nations. Anyway, Iron Mountain was a secret meeting during Kennedy administration. Where, hang on, what's going on here? They planned what they would do when they could not fight wars anymore. That they would use environment, pandemics, etc. That's right. I think you're right there, Katie. I think, yes, it was the Iron Mountain agreement. I did read up about it, but I've forgotten all about it now. Now, what we've got here. Truth Seeker. Yes, that's true. That's right. There we go. I believe you. That's nice. Oh, thanks, Katie. Yes. It is blatantly in-your-face communism, because that's the way it works. They're always obsessed with genocide, and they're always financed by multinationals. Mao was financed, Stalin was financed. The Russian Revolution wasn't organized by Russians. It was people outside Russia who was trained and financed in America. Look it up for yourself. Don't believe me? Right. What we got here? Overpower your masters with numbers and might. Yes, and I think love and kindness, because that's something that psychopaths don't understand. I mean, humour. They don't understand humour either. I mean, I can't stand Bill Gates. And when you look at him, they smirk. And as I've said many times before, Bill Gates, one moment he's talking about overpopulation, next moment he's financing vaccines that save lives. Do they really? Titanic is unsinkable, isn't it? Yeah. Now, what about this? What about Iron Triangle? Don't know anything about that, Stephen. Iron Triangle? Nope. I've got that one. No. Sorry, I've Iron Mountain Global Tyranny is on YouTube. It's not an easy watch. Yes. And also Europa Last Stand. That's not on YouTube anymore. That's been booted up, but you'd still see it on don't tell me BitChute. There we go. Right. It was an invasion by New York. Oh, that's the Russian Revolution, 1917 uprising. Yes. It's something. When I was a kid at school, it was the now what we got here. Love and honor can never be beat. Remember that words. Yes, it was. That's a brilliant one though. Russian Revolution was an invasion by New York. Yes. Because this current situation, if you look at Maurice Strong, who croaked it in 2015, he was an oil billionaire who had very close contacts with Mao and was said to be a communist. Of what he said, they are communists. Because as I said, the natural progression of capitalism is communism, because you wipe out all your opponents and you just have a cliche, a minority. And as Yuri Brezhnev said, you get people to the point where truth means nothing. And this is the situation we've got now. Truth means nothing. You have some lies, some truth, some lies, some truth, and that's it. Now what we've got here. With honour, we have, I think without honour, we have nothing. I think that is. Yes, I'll tell you something else which has gone in recent years. Self-respect. My granddad always used to say, keep your self-respect. You know, he always walked around with head up, nice and smartly dressed. Even if you had nothing, always smartly dressed. And he said, keep your self-respect. But how much self-respect do we have now? And centralized command economy. That's right. I tell you, you can see it free of charge. It's worth it. Over Christmas, I watched the original film 1984, and people criticise it, yes, but it was made in 1956 actually, and it's a brilliant film, and you can see it in full on YouTube. You don't have to pay anything; it's free. And when you watch it, I think we used to call him David Kossoff, but David Kossoff is in it. Donald Pleasance is in it. He's quite a good actor actually. And talking about actors, now people talk about frontline staff, the frontline people. What about frontline crisis actors? Let's spare our thought for them. But can you imagine if the reincarnation of John Gielgud was around today? You know, because I couldn't stand John Gielgud. Between you and I think he was one of the worst actors ever. And, I mean, I can't act. No, I mean, I'll be more wooden than the puppets on Thunderbirds. But can you imagine him in a sort of a doctor's outfit saying, I've never, theatrical pause, seen anything quite like this. Can you imagine? Oh, this is a cracker, this is. I heard a crisis actor on BBC Propaganda News a couple of mornings ago, and I absolutely creased up. She wasn't very good, not very convincing. And what happened is it was she's supposed to be a nurse. Now, I'm sorry, most nurses have seen stiffs before. Corpses, I mean, and they're not really that phased out by death and that. And she said, I'm worried about all the dead people we've got to do. We'll have to probably deal with. And I think she overdid the crying a little bit. But, you know, she probably got a fee for it, because I don't think that was a real nurse. Her diction was too clear, and you could tell she'd been to theatre school. It was pathetic. It really was. But I'm waiting for the Sir John Gielgud's, I've never seen anything quite like this. As I say, I just couldn't. He thought he was a marvellous actor. He was crap. I mean, when you want to talk about marvellous actors, Ronnie Barker, I think, was one of the best actors ever, because he could act any part, and he was that part. And he was a comedy actor, but he was, and also, believe it or not, the comedian, Dave Allen was a good actor as well. Anthony Hopkins. Now, Anthony Hopkins, I don't know about Ronnie Barker, whether he had any, I don't think he had any formal, I'm not sure about his training, but I know he started in local theatre, but I don't think that Anthony Hopkins has actually had any formal training. But he's natural, because the part he acts, it's not Anthony Hopkins, it's the part. And you notice with Ronnie Barker, any part he acts in, I mean, when you look at him in Porridge, and then you look at him in Open All Hours, he was Arkwright, and then he was Fletcher. he was not Roddy Barker. He was two separate characters. Brilliant. But when you see Sir John Gielgud is always, yes, I'm acting, pronouncing everything correctly. A seasoned actor. So, anyway, we're going to see plenty of those, I think. I think we're going to see the old crisis actors. But talking about acting, we got some, what is it? Let's go back here. Oh, I do apologise if I miss any of what you said, what we got here. I've just read 19. Yes. Actually, the film's pretty good. Not the crappy one that was made actually in 1984. I'm talking about the one made in 1956. The special effects are a bit iffy, but I mean, it's made it, I think it's in, yeah, it is in black and white. And an American who was a little bit overweight acted the part. So, you know, it was good. It's pretty well good. Where are we? Oh, I don't know. Hello, Hardy. I knew David Kossoff's grandson. Really? Wasn't his son in a group? Didn't he play the guitar? I think he did. Oh, he's pretty pleasant bloke, actually, David Kossoff, but they used to call him David Cough Up. Sorry, poor sod. He's quite a nice bloke, David Cough Up. But he was quite a good actor in that, actually. He did. But Donald Pleasance, he came over very, very well. It was all very good. What have we got here? Frontline actors. This is right. When you saw, was it Goldstone? Have you noticed these psychopaths, whenever they're found guilty, they'll always play on their health? That is something psychopaths do. Now, whatever your beliefs in Michael Jackson, whether you think he was guilty or innocent, put that aside. Michael Jackson, look at him as a person. Whatever you got to say about him, he faced his charges like a man. He walked into court and he stood there and he faced it. And I personally think he was innocent, and I think he was done in. That's my personal view. And I think he was quite a good bloke. But, you know, he was definitely not a psychopath. And he stood it like a man. He walked into court, stood up, you know, in court. But you notice that these psychos always play on their health, you see. And the Goldstein, then he was on a Zimmer frame. And, and there was a bloke out, was it Sadat? The bloke in Egypt. When he went to court, he was wheeled in on a stretcher. There's nothing wrong with him. Now, can you imagine if we woke up one morning and just by some miracle, all these criminals in power were found guilty, were actually put in, no, sorry, weren't found guilty. They were arrested for crimes against humanity. Now, can you imagine Tony Blair? He would be El Stretcher with the old intravenous on his arm, and his wife would probably be in a wheelchair. She'd be going, ooh, ooh. And if I was I couldn't be a judge because I've got too much feelings for people. But, you know, can you imagine them saying, is there a theatrical agent in the house, please? And my words, and it be in the newspapers, Tony Blair is now suffering from acute overacting. Is there a cure? Is there an actor in the house who knows how to do it? Are you all Tony Blair? I can see it now. Can you imagine Bill Gates? Blimey, he'd have a motorised Zimmer frame. Did you or did you not plan the mass genocide? In fact, what you could do, you could have a theatrical agent standing next to me in court. They could sort of ask advice. How should I play this? Should I sob slightly? Because I remember Tony Blair's wife, there was a bit of problem with his son, and she got it all wrong. Because, you know, when you show choked, you've got to do the quivering lip first. It's sort of and she mistimed it. Half the press almost fell off the seat with laughter. It was so badly done. You know, grief. But my view is these scumbags that are wanted to genocide us, people say capital punishment. No, this is a strange thing. This is well, not a strange thing. I'm totally against killing of any kind, and I'm totally against capital punishment. I'm probably upset a few people here, but I'm totally against it because, as Gandhi said, an eye for an eye makes everyone blind. And putting people to death, no. I think a far worse punishment, I've said this many times before, is to separate them from society and have an island. Somewhere like Devon Island, where NASA allegedly faked their Mars and lunar landings and whatever. They can start off and do it somewhere else. Go in the Mojave Desert or something and show us pretty pictures of Mars. Oh, sorry. And they could build, this would be a lot of work for builders. They could build these horrible Soviet-style tower blocks. And if people like Blair and Gates or that, if they're found guilty, because remember, they're innocent before found guilty. But sorry, and if they're sent to these, because you'd have to find judges that are not Freemasons, which would be a bit difficult, wouldn't it? But honest, real good citizen judges, people to, and we could all sort of vote. We could all be the jury, couldn't we? Is Blair guilty or innocent? They would be sent to Devon Island, which is this windswept hellhole of a place up near the Arctic. And they have all these horrible grey builds, these horrible Soviet-style tower blocks. Can you imagine it? There'd be Tony Blair there with his wife. Above him, there'd be Kissinger. There'd be Bill Gates. These real crap conditions. And of course, before they go there, they'd have to have their vaccinations. All their water would be full of fluoride, of course, for their own good. And what else? Oh, yes, genetically modified food. Yep, nothing wrong with that, is there? No. And of course, you can have rampant inflation there. And all these cameras they've used to spy on us, we'd install there so we can spy on them. You can even have these cars here as well. Oh, it's a horrible thought, isn't it? And of course, if they look in the camera, they get fines because they got to work and work and work and work and work, and it'll be massive inflation. They'll have to queue up outside their shop to buy their genetically modified food. And as I say, they've told us there's no problems. Oh well, yeah, we can chem spray them as well for their own good, of course. Yes. And I reckon they would probably top themselves before going there because they know if that's good enough for us, it's good enough for them, isn't it? Yes. I'm not sadistic in any way, but I think that, well, I hope not. I think, well, I say we all have got a little bit in us. I don't think so, but I think that would be a far worse punishment. Let them end their days there naturally. Drop all the weapons you want. They can just blow their brains out. I mean, the higher psychos will go for the lower psychos. You can send all the rapists there. Paedophiles, they'll go there. Yeah, that'd be. Can you imagine a tower block with all that lot in? And then we would be, for a bit of entertainment, you could sort of go on the internet and go, oh, blimey, what's Tony up to tonight? Oh, he's having genetically modified stew. A little bit because of they won't be able to afford that much food, They could be in like overalls, like they wore on in the film 1984, and they could be able to get things like booze and cigarettes, but it'd all be real crappy, horrible stuff. All the crap that we don't want, they can have. Yeah, they can have hospitals and doctors there. They're going to practice their shitty medicine. The pharmaceutical company making lots of money out of them. I think that would be a far worse punishment. I really do. But they would play that. They would probably play to the camera. They can't go, ooh. Right, let's have a look in chat, shall we? Yeah. What we got here? Oh, we've got Ministry of Silly Walks. Hello. Yeah, we've got some said like. Oh, we've got loads of comments here. Oh dear. Oh, hey. Noticed how you cannot go on some icons to sub to their channel. Notice how you. Oh, didn't know that. See? Now, let's have a look. Do you know, I've lost myself here. Sorry about this. I've really lost myself here. Of course, so many comments that come in thick and fast here. Now, I think I've got here. Yes, you're talking about David Kossoff or his son or his nephew. Right. Justin Walker is the nephew of the Pilkington glass owner, who was governor of the Bank of England. I knew he was related to the ex-governor of Bank of England, because the Bradbury pound is quite interesting, isn't it? It came in 1914 and was phased out in 1927. And we're going to realise is that the generation that went through the First World War, they knew about the Bradbury pound, and they knew about debt-free currency as well. So, interesting. That's why after the First World War, there was riots in the street. But if you look in the newspapers at that time, it would be on page 5 and page 6. It was deliberately put low key. And that's why in 1920, they had the Firearms Act, because before 1920, you could buy arms over the counter in much the same way as you can buy arms over the counter in some states in America. And on that note, Mark Windows was on last night, and he said a really interesting. He says something really interesting. Hey, I'll just take this off here. I'll make a note of where I am so we can carry on with the chat. He said, whilst the British are stocking up with toilet paper, the Americans are stocking up with guns and bullets. Yes. Can you imagine if the 1920 Firearms Act never happened? Yeah. Can you imagine the TV licensing man coming to your door? So, hello, I've come to inspect your property to see whether you need a television license. Now, in reality, the TV licensing man has about as much right in your property as an Avon lady. So, no, he's got no right. Now, for those of you outside the United Kingdom, you may not believe this, but it's 100% true. It's not a conspiracy. In the United Kingdom, if you have a television, you have to pay a license. It's about, I don't know how much it is now, about 150 quid to have BBC propaganda pumped into your living room. So even if you don't watch the BBC, you've still got to pay the TV license. And they, BBC employ this gang of, shall we say, rather imposing people to come around people's houses who haven't got a television or may not have a television. Because to me, it's an insult to think that they think that I would watch that crap. Basically, it's moronic, and they harass you. You know, you haven't got a television license, and even if you tell them that you haven't got a television, they will still harass you. So, can you imagine? You know, if we had gun licensing, you know, I've come to inspect your property. Sort of get a magnum out, you know. Go ahead, make my day, punk. I think I'll call back at another time. But no, I used to be, as I've said on a previous video, I used to be very, very anti-gun, but not now. Completely and utterly wrong. And I also did a video some time ago talking about the national wage, thinking, oh, wasn't it marvellous? Now I've looked into it, another U-turn. Because I think that we can all be wrong in life, and I was wrong on those two things. One, a national wage, totally wrong, because I realise anything the government organises has strings attached. So no, you don't want a national wage. And the second thing is taking people's guns away. Wherever people's guns have been taken away, tyranny sets in. I mean, the first thing that Mao did, take people's guns away. Look what happened. Over 1 billion people were killed. First thing Stalin did, take people's guns away. There, it was about 100,000. Sorry, well, we just don't know. I think it's 100,000. Could be more, could be less. We just don't know. Right. Same here. Right, here we go. Right. Oh, got loads of new comments. Oh, yeah, I've lost myself again. Yeah, where are we? We need humour at this time, if only. Yes, it's been banned, hasn't it? Yes. Mind you, I wonder how many more celebrities are going to go down with this virus. You know, I heard that it's only a rumour. I heard that Schofield is actually feeling a little queer at the moment. Sorry, that's an old English term for those of you overseas. Queer. If you look it up in a dictionary, an old dictionary, it says ill. So what I should have said is Schofield is feeling a little ill. It is rumoured, you see. But I just thought I'd clear that one up. So because there was a monologue done by Stanley Holloway, which said, "My word, you do look queer," which meant ill. So if you look up a dictionary from about anything from about 1960, 1950, it says queer, ill, you see. So that's what I meant. Of course, you know, we don't want to upset anybody, do we? Anyway, right. I wish you was wrong. Right. Are you drinking green tea? No, I'm always like this, actually. You know? I have tried. I tell you something. I can't stand these fruity teas. I don't know what it is, but it just makes me want to throw up, especially strawberry. Those horrible. Not many people go. It's an acquired taste. I have tried green tea, but no, I prefer Adam's Ale water. No, it is an acquired taste. I think it's very good for you, though. Very, very good. We are the resistance. People join forces. Yes, but the trouble is, when you join forces, we're infiltrated. So I think it's got to, as I say, be an individual. The Yellow Vests in France, they were infiltrated, but they were aware of that, and most of them were individuals. That is a problem. Let's have a look here. Can George Soros come to the diary room? Oh, you mean George Soros? Yeah, at some point, because you know he finances all the nasty stuff. He financed this global warming garbage. We're not seeing anything of Greta Thunberg, are we? And what's happened to David Attenborough? You know, with all these, you know, hi, mind you, I don't know who was a better actor, his brother or him. You know, Lovey Deary or him. You know, hello, Lovey, what? But sorry, I just can't stand David Attenborough. There's another one I can't stand. He's on my list of people I don't like. Ugh. Oh, here it is. You know, I can't even watch his wildlife programs. I mean, even when he was sitting next to a gorilla. And again, he wasn't the first person to sit next to a gorilla. Johnny Morris was a mother and a baby gorilla. Yeah. Well, normally animals are very protective towards their young, so that was quite dangerous. And that was a long time before Attenborough did it. Now, here we go. It's like in the TV series V. Yeah, it is. V for Victory. Yeah, I just wonder though how many of these films, because Hollywood is that's really a fiction factory. It's mind control. The Tavistock's down to people like Saul Alinsky's views really got into Hollywood. I mean, Star Trek. I used to watch, not all that much into Star, you know, Captain's Log and all this, and I didn't really go much on Star Trek, you know, and but that was actually political correctness. It was Gene Roddenberry, and when you look into it, he interviewed the actors and apparently wanted to find out their political views and this, that, and the other, and it has all to do with a sort of communism, you know. So, but isn't it funny? All the planets on there are very Earth-like, aren't they? You know, and why is it they always looked as if they were constipated, didn't they? They walked around. So I got constipation. But yeah, oh yeah. Oh crumbs, we've got lots of comments here. Now, if the people showed their love and honour, mainstream media would never show it. Yeah. Well, I was when you could walk into a bank without queuing for half an hour outside. This was before the pandemic. I had to go into the bank. I think the cash machine had gone wrong outside, so I had to go inside. And they got this massive screen showing BBC propaganda. Oh, how do people sit and watch it? They're all sort of sitting there, and they talk to you like a teacher talking to a child. Right, thugs, yes. Catapults, knives, and others. We have, yes, we do actually. Thing is, revolutions and wars are fought in the hearts and minds of people, and they've actually destroyed the hearts and minds of people. In this social distancing, I think it has more to do with the Tavistock Centre than anything else. I mean, it must be driving elderly people and lonely people absolutely out of their mind. I mean, I find that if I'm in, well, I mean, yes, I like being at home. I'm a very homely person, but I do like to have a little break occasionally. And after about 3 days, I'm crawling up the wall. I'll go shopping and things like that. And oh dear. And now what we got here? They're going to try and bring in you. Yes, that's what they're going in China. So if you walk along the road and cross the road at the wrong place, you get fined. Seriously, I've seen a film on this. And if you, I wouldn't say walking down the cracks in the pavement, or if you do anything wrong, you could be on your bike and go the wrong way up a one-way street. You get fined. You get fined for everything. You've got to be a model citizen. You are being watched. Yeah, humour has been banned. Happiness has been banned, hasn't it, really? When you think about it, you've got all these coppers walking around saying, Scooby, you're not there to do this. I mean, they must be creaming their pants with excitement. They love it, don't they? I mean, like Spike Milligan once said, the world is full of people telling you what to do. This is why I like being in wilderness type areas, because there's no signs up. And there was, when you go to, I can't stand cities. I used to work in London. I hated it. And I planned that if ever I went to the continent of Europe, I'd avoid the cities. I have no interest to me whatsoever. I found since I was a child, something about London that makes me depressed. I study because I work there, but there's something depressing about the place. Can't stand it. I don't really like any cities at all. Towns, I'm not that. I just like natural things, beaches, sunsets, lovely things. But towns just seem to be stressed out places, don't they? Full of signs telling you what to do, what not to do. I mean, I don't bother anybody else. I don't want to bother anybody else, but oh dear. And also, at the beginning of this program, there's a hell of a racket going on. Now, I live in quite a rural area. There's a bit of a racket going on. One of my neighbours was banging a dustbin, a lid or something, a pot. What the hell's going on? And this neighbour has got posters on their window. Has anybody else noticed this? Now, I went for a walkies the other day, and hang on, where are we? Humour is bad. Do. Yeah, sorry about that. Right. I went for a walk the other day down to the supermarket, and it's a fair step. It's about good 40 minutes walk from where I live. And I kept seeing these posters in people's windows, and it's of that transgender rainbow thing. It's that, and what did it have on it? Anyway, I wrote it down. I've got it here. Excuse me a minute. Oh yeah, stay in, stay safe, save lives. And I saw loads of them. Support our NHS, frontline. Now, if you look at the Corbett report, he says something very interesting. He says, you notice they're looking at it like a war. In a war, support our boys at the front. Let's see them up the front. And it's all this kind of hero worship. But obviously children have done these posters. So I reckon old Mao and Stalin are probably down in hell looking up, thinking, rubbing their hands together, saying, "Way, our dream is now finally come true." Because they used to use children to spy on their parents and use them as agents. And now we've got to snoop on people, apparently, if they go out twice or put their foot out the door 3 times instead of once or whatever. This is real communism, isn't it? Yes. Now what we got here? Too many on benefits, no fault of their own. Yes, you're right. Yes, there shouldn't really be any poverty. I mean, when you think about it, in an ideal world, I think we've all got talents and we've all got something to give. But it's actually finding those talents. And we have. We have got talents and that. We all play our part. Do you know, there was, I think his name was Jimmy Boyle. And he was a gangland leader, I believe, in Glasgow when they used to knife people and he killed someone. And he went to prison. And his psychiatrist was a woman who saw something in him that was different. And eventually they're married and he was released from prison. And he was a completely changed man. And he worked trying to stop youth going the way that he did. And he felt he wasn't a psychopath. He felt for the people, the family of the person that he killed. And he was very full of remorse, genuine remorse, not active remorse, not Tony Blair type remorse. And I don't know whether he's still alive. I don't know anything. I mean, this was a long time ago. But I think that a lot of youth and that are going around robbing and mugging old ladies and all that. Yes, it's evil. They're nasty people. But I do think that we've all got a talent that we can help in society and what's happening, or help others, or do something with its inventions. I love inventing things and designing things. That's my life, and being creative. And there's, I think, except for psychopaths where there is no kindness because they have not got empathy for anybody, I think that human beings, there is kindness in everyone. I really do believe that. And if there isn't kindness there, that it's probably been they're ill, or there's something's been wrenched out of them, or they are a psychopath, which of case, I mean, my feeling towards psychopaths is if they do bad for humanity, separate them and put them in that sort of city that I was describing earlier. But some of them are harmless. They won't harm human beings, and some of them do some good. There's a lot of surgeons, that very good surgeons, that are psychopaths. But of course, if someone dies on their operating theatre, they have no empathy, they have no feeling. It's I mean, I'll never forget seeing that film of who was that bloke who did have sex with that woman? President Clinton. And he was walking along, and there's a camera sort of way back, and he's at a funeral. And you see him walking along, laughing and suddenly, out the corner of his eye, he sees his camera and he goes, sobbing. They are very good actors. I'm not saying all actors are psychopaths, but psychopaths, they're chameleons, they can change. Right, let's go on. We will play our part. That's right. Here we go. And then it's KT. He finances transition towns via Galust Gulbenkian Foundation, anonymous donors. Are we talking about, I don't know anything about that, Katie. Are we talking about Bill Gates or George Soros? Soros. Can't stand David Attenborough either. No. It's like a sort of, and here we are, very patronising. You know, this Père Labar, if it wasn't for kind of bullshit, isn't it? Right. If Attenborough's a national treasure, I wouldn't mind if he was buried in the... Well, talking about that, he's got a face that looks as if it was very cold when they dug him up this morning. It's right. The Terminator Road. Yes, spot on there. Yes. Right. Regarding the what we got here? Social distancing is the precursor to alienating the Yes, I do believe that. This is very, very Tavistock Centre, Frankfurt School. Very much so. And if you read Sololinsky, it gets a bit creepy. And when you look at what the Frankfurt School did, sort of torturing dogs to see how they can manipulate them, and social. It's very frightening. It really is, because communism is a death cult. They're obsessed with death. That's all you hear from communists: deaths, death. It is. They are very creepy people. Peaceful revolutions such as Carnation Revolution, Portugal, or Spring Revolution, Estonia. Yes. The trouble is, there's what is actually predicted. One of the predictions now is that people will revolt, but it will be controlled, and then you'll have some icon come up from nowhere who will be a world leader that people will support, and he'll be more ruthless than anything you could wish to think of. But of course, he'll be financed by, who. This is why I always question if someone comes up to be a leader or anything like that. Two very, very important questions. Who finances you? Number one question. Number two question. Why haven't you mentioned anything about debt-free currency, such as, similar to, rather, the greenback dollar that was around during the American Civil War that Abraham Lincoln introduced, which was debt-free currency, or the Bradbury pound? Now, if anybody stands up to be a leader and doesn't mention anything about debt-free currency or who finances them, they're phony. So I don't support them. But I don't believe in governments. I think people can do things on their own. Whenever you see a government, it's a cock-up, because when you look at the civil servants, because when you think about it, the country is actually run by the civil service. The government's just the mouthpiece, and it's actually, when I say run, the actual government are the banks. They're the ones that are ruling. Unelected banks rule countries. Unelected civil servants run countries, and governments are just there to sort of, well, they're sort of like the circus exhibit, aren't they, really? The freak show, or what they say, show business for ugly people, such as Nicola Sturgeon. Sorry, I shouldn't say that, but that woman. Oh. Rainbow cult. Yeah, that's those posters. Yeah, it is a cult. Do you know what I saw last year? I went to the supermarket and I was looking around the gardening stuff, because I like gardening, and there was sometimes I like garden gnomes. They had a garden gnome sitting on, what's this thing about a unicorn? A garden gnome that looked very effeminate, sitting on a unicorn with a rainbow underneath it. What the bloody hell was all that about? That's not a garden gnome. That's a political statement or whatever. That's political correctness or social engineering. Right, now what we got here? The rainbow drawings, yes, officially to support the NHS. In truth, it's a ritual. Oh, that's interesting, affected area. No hide, I'm guessing, just like Corona, crown for the king of the world. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, has anybody else noticed it? I just sort of thought, what's going on here? Something really odd. And also I'm a bit uneasy about all this sort of group do this. It's a bit like when Diana was killed, people said Queen of Hearts, and it spread, Queen of Hearts. And this virus thing, it's a religion, and it has got its rituals. It's all ritualized, because if there was a pandemic, the government wouldn't tell us. People would just be dying, and that would be it. They wouldn't tell us. So to me, this is just social engineering. And, when are people going to get that governments are not there for them? They're there for the banks, full stop. They're chosen by the banks. Democracy is just a scam. It really is. It's nothing more than that. Right. Now, yes, I think they are brainwashing kids to make those posters at school. Yeah, it was new to me. Especially, I don't know if you heard it at the beginning of this whoever it was, banging a dustbin. It wasn't a dustbin. It sounded like teapot lid, or no, not teapot, saucepan lid. Dong, 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 dong. You know, I find it rather offensive to have that information. Do this, do that. Don't stand here. Don't do that. You know, I find it very offensive in my face. Get out, like I'm saying, get out my face. You know, right? Brainwashing children. Yeah. I think we meet to unpack the phony science that's being used to. Yeah, I agree with you. It is phony science. It's well, I say to people, and they say, "Oh, vaccinations, perfectly okay." They're kind of brainwashed. I don't bother arguing now. I don't really bother stating it. You just leave that. I think they are negative. You just people that are sheeple, you just push them aside. I don't really want to know. You know, it's always the way, isn't it? What's this? Yes, politicians are there to give the illusion of choice, and that's not so necessary now. We have the excuse of national emergency. Hence, they all gradually stepping down by pretending to be ill. You're quite right there. Yes, that's funny, that, isn't it? It is very, very. Excuse me, my voice is. This is this hay fever. Yeah. Oh dear. I got rid of it once. It's come back again. Right. Hello, Katie. Have you noticed how they have inverted Christianity by saying that the deaths would peak on Easter Sunday? Yeah, it is a death cult. Yes. Mark Vadist turned up late. What did you think of the? Oh, what do you think of the info, Chris? Very interesting. Yes, I should have put it on this program, shouldn't I? Perhaps for the next one. Yeah. Thanks for that. And I do apologise not put it on this program, but yes, and yeah, Mark sent me some very interesting info, and I'll put it on the next one, next program. That'll be it. Anyway, these time's getting on a bit. I've been waffling on for over an hour and 22 minutes. I'd like to thank everybody for joining me this evening. It's very, very kind of you, and I do appreciate your comments. And thank you very, very much. And I'll be back next week, same time at 8 o'clock. And remember, be an individual, because individuality wins through. And thank you very much for joining me this evening. And I'll see you next week at 8 o'clock. And maybe before then, because I did go on last Monday, and I think, because I try not to clash with people, because I can't go on Wednesday because I'll be clashing with Mark Windows. Tuesday I'll be clashing with Mark Windows. Sunday I'll be clashing with him, and I also clash with Caroline on a few of these things. So I might be either on Saturday or Monday, might do another one, and I might put this what Mark sent, which is very, very good. Anyway, night, and as I say, let's stay positive, have a laugh. And I haven't done any fart jokes this evening. Probably that's the reason why the mystery guest didn't want to come on, because you didn't like my fart jokes. But if you want some fart jokes, please say, and I've got plenty. There's a few. I've been sort of looking through the repertoire of jokes. There's a couple that are too blue to mention. I'm terribly sorry. And a few of them that, people overseas are typically English, and people overseas that are not English probably wouldn't get. But yes, I'll try and look back on the old repertoire. But if you want some fart jokes, I've got plenty of them. Bit crude. Anyway, good night, and remember, stay an individual. Thank you.